Welcome to Daily Meditation with Sangha Live.
Feel a deep gratitude for the serendipity of this opportunity for us to come together this morning in a heartfelt practice. The serendipity also of the decision to explore together this path of the four foundations of mindfulness, and today happens to be the day of the third foundation, which certainly in the way that we will be exploring it together will be lovefulness of emotions and mind states. So I hope we all can find some support and ground for whatever responses to the global unfoldings we each have in our own bodies that allow us to come to respond to what is arising within us and around us from a place of love. And to me, really, one of the strongest feelings that arose this morning, I also had a quick look at the news before coming on. But actually today that does feel relevant. It's not something I would do normally out of habit, but today it did feel important to have a sense of where the heart and mind of America is moving, since it affects us all. And one of the things that came to me very strongly was really such a deep commitment, a deepening and ever-deepening commitment in the face of the reactivity we are witnessing all over the world. A deepening commitment to learn to meet reactivity with love. A deepening commitment to learn to respond to life from love. A deepening commitment to learn to live in love. And truly, it is only here in each of our hearts and minds that seed can be planted, and that seed can grow into a collective forest of something new. I'm also heartened. Heartened may not be the right word, encouraged. I'm encouraged by many decades now of experiencing the healing process in myself, the process of transformation, the process of growth, the process of healing, the process of moving from reactivity to presence, both in myself and then in the latter years, having the honor of supporting that journey in other people as well. And remembering again and again that this is a journey where we move from suffering to presence. That every new unfolding, every reckoning, every deepening of practice and presence arises through meeting the dissonance, the disconnect, and the suffering of being out of alignment. And what we always hope and pray for is the minimizing the suffering, that we can respond earlier and earlier to the signs of separation, to the movements of reactivity, to the movements of war within ourselves and between each other, and between ourselves and the earth, so that we can minimize the harm caused before we recognize and choose another way. But there is some sense of courage and consolation, for me at least, in just the humble recognition that this is the way we as human beings learn and grow, through seeing our reactivity playing out in the world, in our lives. In this exact same way as we've been beginning to recognize that it's not okay to other each other so much based on gender, based on color. Slowly beginning to recognize it's not okay to other each other based on race, through seeing the horror of that playing out. And yeah, it looks like we need to see it playing out further on this collective stage. And so just a call, certainly to myself and perhaps to each of you, for whatever continues to unfold today through the US elections and really around the world, a call to each of us to commit ever more profoundly to meeting our own reactivity with love, to meeting the ways and the places we other people, we move into separation in our own lives, in our own hearts, in our own minds, to meeting that with the fire of humility and truth, to embracing it with love. And really, there couldn't be a more powerful place to harness this commitment than in this practice that we'll be exploring today, this piece of the Dharma, which is embracing the movements of heart and mind, citta, the heart-mind. Which really is not just mental states, it's the emotional mental landscape. It's not observing mental states, or at least the way we're practicing it today isn't observing or even contemplating mental states. We're really diving into the emotional mental landscape with love, to recognize what we're feeling, to allow what we're feeling, to embrace what we're feeling, to turn towards, rest beside, breathe into, and be that loving presence that whatever we're feeling most longs for. No emotions and mind states want to move into the reactivity of trying to find what to blame and what to fix, and where it can find resolution outside itself in reactivity. It doesn't find any true healing or soothing there. What we're feeling really wants to be met with love, to find a safe home here in the body. So as we practice today, we'll be practicing in this way of coming into the body, as we have done each morning this week, establishing the quality of attention that is loving, that is kind and curious, that is able to remain anchored here, anchoring our attention with the breath or with sound or with whatever helps us remain here in the body, here in the body, here in the body. And then we'll be widening our attention to really be curious about what it is that we're feeling. Inviting these feelings to live not as ideas in the mind, not as narratives and stories, but as felt, embodied, physical sense here in this breathing body. Like they're parts of us, which really they are, because often particularly suppressed feelings or habitually embellished feelings go back a very long way, and they become a young part of us. The way fear lives inside us is often a very young place in us. The way grief lives inside us and has been suppressed or habitually drowned in. The way anger lives inside us, again, is often a very young part of us. So we learn to meet these young parts of ourselves with love, really give them a home, find out what these young parts of us, what these feelings need in this moment to feel safe, to feel like they belong. So that rather than acting from an emotion, rather than acting from anger, rather than acting from some of these feelings that you've shared here, the despondency, the grief, we act from love for that anger, despondency, and grief in a way that can be of greatest benefit to all beings everywhere. And so just as a reminder that when it comes to reactivity, really in general, but with emotions in particular, when it comes to reactivity with emotions and mind states, the reactive response to what we're feeling tends to be either to push it away, suppress it, pretend we're not feeling this, feel something that we should be feeling that would make us more lovable or more spiritual or whatever the story is that we've digested and invested in. So either suppressing or moving into some kind of story about an embellishing. And that embellishment may take the form of a reactive action, blaming, shaming, and then acting from it. Or it may take the form of replaying an emotion and drowning inside it. But suppressing, drowning, and reactively acting are all forms of reactivity. Because each of them aren't coming from a place of actually meeting the emotion itself with love. When instead, we turn towards recognizing, allowing, making space for, finding in the body, breathing into, resting beside. Just as we were exploring yesterday, where the feeling tones of liking or disliking or disinterest, when we come towards them and hold them with love, they offer us their gifts. In the very same way, all emotions, including or perhaps even especially the challenging emotions, when we turn towards them, rest beside them, breathe into them, they offer us the gifts of the particular qualities of love that are elicited in the very movement of turning towards them with love. And so when we turn towards grief and we're willing and able to hold it with love, we begin to experience the courage, that face of love, that courageous face of love that is able to, that grows from our willingness to stay open-hearted in the face of grief. And that courage itself reveals a beautiful quality of reverence for life, to remain open-hearted as the pain of life that reveals itself shows, offers us this quality of just reverence in the face of life's changing, unfolding, awakening. And the same with fear, when we are willing to give fear a home where it can feel grounded, where it can feel that it belongs, where we reach out to the earth and to each other and to be in relationship so that there's enough of a sense of belonging here in the body so that fear can also belong. What we begin to experience is a deepening sense of trust. the trust that whatever arises, everything is connected and everything belongs to love. And from that trust comes this really unshakable sense of peace in our own hearts, a peace that isn't dependent on things being peaceful around us, but a peace that really knows that there is nothing that doesn't belong to this collective field of love. And the same with anger. The gift of meeting anger is one of being able to soften and widen in the face of its energy and receive its discriminating wisdom, its clear boundaries, at the same time as being able to recognize the pain that is protecting, so that our heart breaks open and compassion can come forward. Alongside the clarity of action, there's a softness that holds the pain that anger defends. And so, with each of these emotions, anxiety as well is a mind state that wants to take us out of the body and is desperately trying to tell us we need to do something now. But first, we have to remember that we need to find presence. We need to come back into alignment with love. And so as we breathe, even in the face of anxiety, as we draw our attention into the body, even in the face of anxiety, what grows within us is equanimity, capacity to really be here even as everything is shaking, even as everything is falling apart. And with that equanimity, the gift that anxiety gives us is a more intrinsic sense of freedom. It's possible to remain in the body, open and breathing in the face of life, whatever life brings. So friends, let's come back to this commitment this morning, this afternoon, this evening, whenever it is you find yourself in time and in space. This commitment to meeting this feeling, embodied, breathing, tender, human moment with so much love. Take a soft, slow breath in through the nose and breathe out with a sigh or a sound. Establishing a posture which is upright and courageously open-hearted in the face of life. And deepening your breathing. So that you really feel the fullness of the space for your lungs and your heart as you breathe in. And you slow down the exhalation, keeping the lift of the heart and the lungs, drawing the lower belly towards the spine as you breathe out. Slow, steady, soft. Relaxing your eyes, tongue, jaw, lips, shoulders, and belly. But maintaining the brightness of the chest. Of the breathing body. So that this body is able to offer itself as a safe sanctuary for everything that you're feeling today. In full, wholehearted commitment to this practice. Of learning to meet reactivity with love. Of learning to release the stories of victim and perpetrator, of savior and villain, of self and other. To release and unhook from the stories. So that we meet the truth of this moment, of this embodied moment right here, in this body, right now. With the fierce grace of loving presence. Unhooking again and again from the mind's narratives. And anchoring your attention somewhere in the body, whether the breathing or sound. Trusting that this is where healing lies. That this is the beginning of transformation for each of us and for all of us. Coming home here with love. And even while staying with your anchor, invite your attention to widen, to include a soft curiosity. What am I feeling right now? Searching for what it is that is here in the emotional tone and landscape. Not through stories in the mind, but rather through leaning into the places in your body where there's tension, contraction, collapse. Particularly when this arises in the heart or the throat or the belly or in between the eyebrows. If there's numbness, then remember that numbness is a feeling too, and be curious about that too. How does it feel in the body? And any tender places we find in the body. Whether or not you know what the feeling is, whether or not you can name, this is grief, or this is anger. Regardless, invite your attention to continue to turn towards these places of tenderness. And breathe into them with so much love. Not needing them to go away. Simply resting beside them. Resting beside with so much love. Being the friend or parent you might never have experienced, holding you in this way. Neither negating what you're feeling, nor trying to fix anything, nor falling into the drama with you, but just holding you with so much love, giving you full permission to feel what you feel. So that whatever feeling is here begins to trust that it's held in love. And so that alongside whatever is here for you, anxiety, anger, grief, fear, as well as more sweet and beautiful emotions, alongside these challenging emotions, there is also love. Steady, unshakable, present. Whatever you're feeling right now, hold it with love. Breathe into it with love. Allow it with love. Trusting, friends, in love's capacity to respond. In love's capacity to know what is ours to do in this moment and in each moment. It's okay to feel this way. This feeling as a home inside love. It belongs here too. What we see playing out in the world are so many stories arising from unmet emotions, unrecognized, not allowed. So much reactivity. And so we deepen our commitment to loving presence. A drop in the ocean. To meeting this sensitive, open-hearted, vulnerable, embodied moment with love. Trusting in love's capacity to creatively respond in each of our tiny and huge ways. And trusting in love's capacity to envision something new. Something so much more radical than this political party or that. To envision us all living beyond war, living beyond separation, living beyond the reactivity of accumulation, defense, control. Living beyond three poisons of the mind that the Buddha spoke of: greed, hatred, delusion. Knowing that the transformation happens right here, right now, in our own bodies, hearts, and minds. Thank you, friends, for being here and being together in this beautiful field, and this morning in particular.
Today's podcast is an offering to you from our archive of freely available live daily classes. We make wisdom teachings and meditations as freely available as possible to as many people as wish to practice. You can help ensure we can continue to support a worldwide Sangha by leaving a review wherever you get your podcasts, by sharing this with someone who'd be interested, and by offering a small financial support at sangha.live/donate.